Right, now the grass is a bit long here, so it's not too fantastic taking it off from the ground. So don't try this at home. Right, there she is, blade SR. This is my first collective pitch helicopter, and one that people still ask about really, even though the Blade 300 and its family are now far more prevalent. People say, should I start on this? And with a bit of modification, yeah, I think you can. It's a bit windy today, so you can see the poor little girl doing her best, but she'll get thrown around a bit. So I'm going to keep her near so you can see her. Let's do that then. This GoPro's got a very wide angle on it, so unless it's right by me, you can't really see what she's like, really. I could show you a loop, but it would be so far away that you probably wouldn't see it. Just a little dot in the sky. This is what they call a learner's helicopter, really. And it's quite a tough little girl, really. Oh dear, the wind's thrown her around a bit. Come on, honey. Come back down. I've got idle up on, obviously, otherwise I'd get nowhere in this wind. And I'm running on a Spectrum DX6i rather than the set that they sell with originally, 4H or something. I don't know. It was a blade. It was the transmitter that came with it wasn't much good, whereas the Spectrum makes it a much happier beast. I've taken all the weights out of the flybar. I've tightened the head up as far as I can because that head's really sloppy and it makes the cyclic really soggy. The other thing that I've done, I'll bring her back here so maybe you'll be able to see it, is okay, so I'm at the mercy of the wind here really. Let's get really head on to this wind. The wind's changing direction maybe, but the tail motors fitted the other way around to normal so that the tail rotor blows air over it. I think that's a big error with it. You get a lot of these things, SRs, I suffered from the tail motor failing very quickly and reversing the tail rotor motor. Is that right? Tail rotor motor. The tail motor seems to have cured it really. It stays cool now, and I'm all good, you know, because what happens is the tail motor fails and she just spins out of control, and you know, most people in their learning phase, as I was at the time, you don't quite know what's going on. So what this model's good for is really is teaching you how to hover, really. Even though this is as crisp and as responsive as an SR could possibly be without changing the components to somebody else's. It's all right now. It's, you know, I think this is a reasonable way to learn, really. As I say, she will roll and loop. She's pretty good. But really, at the stage of things, the first thing to do is to get really comfortable with the heli in all orientations. Oh dear, the wind's really throwing her about. To do these kind of figure of eights is a good idea. You just go along, turn left, whoa, and then you come back and you turn right. You don't have to go very far. This is what I prefer with helicopters as opposed to fantastic aeroplanes, really, which I really enjoyed much earlier on in my life. Is that you don't have to have much room really. Even though it's really windy, you could do this in quite a small back garden. And you know, this kind of learning is 80% of flying a heli really. All the really exotic stuff, yeah, that's a generation away and much more practice away, but how many people would just be happy to be confident and competent really in all orientations? And this sturdy little helicopter will do it. If anybody watches this video and is interested, I would happily go into more detail about how I've modified it. I haven't really modified it much. As I say, I've only taken the flybar weights off, because that just makes it impossible to fly, I think, and taken some of the slack out of the head. The head's really rubbery, the blades flop about a lot, and as I say, I've reversed the way that I've reversed the direction that the tail rotor's installed, because I just got fed up with how frequently and unexpectedly quickly, you know, how much will just suddenly go, and she'll just pirouette all over the place. And of course, you know, you've got lots of lots of components to replace when that happens. There she is. Whoa. This is the Blade SR, being a very good learner helicopter. I'm just doing this video really to resurrect her from some slightly critical videos I've taken of her in the past, where I've suffered a bit. But I wonder really, Blade, E-Flight, it is possible to make an electric tail rotor heli that flies. You did it almost, but for some reason you thought that making it unlike a real helicopter would be a good idea. Well, here we go. Here we are. That's it. It wasn't quite so windy. You could hold her rock solid. There's a gusty 15 knot wind blowing here, so she tends to. Oh, the other thing people say is that the servos are rubbish. Well, they're only rubbish if you crash it. When what happens is it strips the gears. If you don't crash it, and why should you crash your model? Go out, plan to do something, do it until you can do it without even thinking about it. That's the way to succeed. Don't overstretch yourself. And go back home with a model that's still in one piece. I've been doing this now for 3 years. I can do a lot more than this, but I still great pleasure out of just doing this, especially when it's as windy as this, and especially when I've had to work quite hard to get this blade in this sort of condition really. I'm very pleased with it. All the hard work now behind me. I could literally disassemble this and assemble it in my sleep with my eyes shut. Well, I suppose I would be with my eyes shut in my sleep. Blindfold, I could just about probably. There's a couple of bits in the flybar that you can get the wrong way around, but look at that, very relaxed. So you know, it's a very windy day to have her out today really, a bit unfair really. very economic little heli. Although at the moment I think the Blade 450 3D is cheaper than the SR, which is ridiculous. So look out for the SR becoming really very inexpensive and actually capable of being quite a lot of fun. One thing that is a surprise, if you do get one, is that actually they can really motor along. It doesn't take much for it to really get out of, you know, out of the vicinity. Whoa. Yep, she'll do 40 miles an hour, this little girl, I think. That kind of speed. It's surprising. She's small, she gets fast very quickly. You need to keep her under a lot of control. Be very disciplined about your box, about how far you're going to fly. And come on girl, that's it, round you come. And what you will and won't accept. And what's the other thing I'd suggest? Have a safety position. My safety position is about there, pointing into wind, about 10 foot up. Oh, she's going up, that's the wind doing that. I'm not doing anything. That's so windy. Come on honey. That's it, that's it. Let's have you. There's a safety position where it's where you go from flying to landing really. So if in doubt, find your safety positions, think about why things got out of hand, resolve yourself to take control of what you're doing. If you're flying figure of eights, that's a really useful thing to learn, because it teaches you orientation in both directions. Just do that. Don't let any onlookers or, you know, friends egg you on to do loops and rolls and all the rest of it, because there's plenty of time, there's no hurry really. Right, well I'm going to bring her, are we going to take her out of idle up in a minute? Oh dear. Come on honey. Right. That's it. That's it. Yeah, under you come. Come on, I want to get you on the floor. Well done. Good girl.